If there's one thing your old pal Jim Sterling has learned this week, it's that World of Tanks' fan base can be exhausting. Fucking exhausting. Anyway, here's an episode that the World of Tank fanbase knew was coming, but is of significant interest to regular Jimquisition viewers because it concerns copyright takedown strikes, an old fan favourite here. So let's enjoy. And also to that one World of Tanks fan, the really dedicated one, who thinks this whole situation is a one-on-one conversation between me and them. It isn't. Stop it. I won't be reading any more of your emails. Quite literally, I've set it up so that I can't read them anymore. Stop it, you weird, weird person. Let's talk about World of Tanks. The dismal world of oversensitive game developers and the lengths they'll go to in order to quash criticism shouldn't have any surprises left to me, and yet somehow there's always a new low, a fresh extremity, a hot-off-the-press example of incomprehensible fuckwaddery to make me shake my head in appalled disappointment. Today, we're talking about wargaming, or to be more specific and fair, thanks to everyone who emailed me, Wargaming EU. In any case, we're talking about the latest shitty bargain basement asset flipper to threaten critics with censorship via abuse of YouTube's DMCA-like copyright takedown system. Wait a minute, wargaming? That wargaming. We are talking about the same one. Nah, that don't make sense. Wargaming isn't digital homicide. It's not fun creators. No, seriously, I've heard of this company before. World of Tanks is like an actual video game with a social media presence and everything. I've seen it at E3! Well, I mean, I've seen it outside the convention centre. They probably let it inside these days. This isn't some 2-bit Steam dev with no brains and even less PR skills. This can't be a real thing. There's no way in hell an actual studio with some degree of pedigree and recognition would ever be so stupid as to... Oh, okay. Quick history. World of Tanks is a free-to-play MMO supported by microtransactions. It exploded kinda from nowhere back in the day, springing from the loins of Wargaming, a company with a unique structure that spreads it across Belarus, Cyprus, and the usual territories, Russia, EU, etc. It's been suggested that the company's main office is in Cyprus for tax reasons, not a relevant point, but Wargaming isn't on my Christmas list right now, so I'm mentioning it. SirFuck, whose name is pronounced SirFosh, but I started calling him Fuck and now I can't stop, is a predominantly fondly regarded member of the World of Tanks community. So much so that he was, until recently, one of Wargaming's community contributors. Featured content creators who receive perks from Wargaming, such as invitations to the company's Tank Fest, which is presumably some fest or other. One that involves tanks. Or something, I don't fucking know. Anyway, SirFuck's known for being spirited in his criticisms, not to mention fond of swearing language. But Wargaming's been fine with his complaints and delivery style. This all changed when SirFuck published a video about a new tank recently released, the Chrysler K. This tank's a premium vehicle, meaning it costs real money. It was also accused of being a pay-to-win mechanic by Fock, an overpowered in-game advantage to those willing to spend the coin. Criticised for being very hard to hurt, players have complained they need to use expensive premium ammunition to damage it. In addition, the Chrysler K's own gun is rather weak, meaning those who bought it are also going to be tempted to buy premium ammo. Anyway, SirFuck did this video and wait a minute. We need to back up a second. Premium ammo? That's a thing? I used to joke about game companies doing that. You mean to tell me there's a freemium game that actually does it? Premium ammo. Holy fucking shit. SirFuck Me Gently did this video slamming the tank in his usual ribald style, and Wargaming's reaction was a little more involving than usual. First of all, the company stripped SirFuck of his community contributor status and the perks that come with it. Okay, a bit petulant, but they're within their rights to do it, and it at least makes PR sense not to work so officially with someone slamming you so passionately. If Wargaming had just left it there, I'd probably care about this as much as Marco Rubio cares about anything. However, Wargaming couldn't leave it there, oh no. They had to be complete fucking idiots about this and start trying to bully the guy with threats. Specifically, threats that they'd, and I quote, go through YouTube to have his video forcibly removed and his channel demonetized if he doesn't acquiesce to their demands and personally depublish his critical video. Had Wargaming's intimidation tactic not worked, it would have gone the route of Digital Homicide, Stickley, Cobra, Fun Creators, Dentola, and every other 2-bit hack that deals with critique by lying to YouTube about copyright infringement, which in turn makes YouTube's automated process kick in and remove the video by force, which of course can have big negative implications for anybody's channel and places it in a vulnerable position. However, SirFuck, me say that, you'll folk me, acquiesced and Wargaming got what it wanted, but not without folk telling everybody. Like I said, I know it's fosh. Or fosh. The company's put forth some low-effort damage control by now, publishing a statement that explained the situation from its own perspective. Wargaming EU claimed they were fine with being criticised, but not with name-calling and insults. In their own words, his video went beyond saltiness and entered into the defamation territory. Now, I'm sure you can all already see the problem here. YouTube's copyright system, by its very definition, is for copyright infringement, not insults. And if Wargaming truly believes it has a defamation case on its hands, well, it should pursue a defamation case. And let me know how that works out, because as someone who's been on the receiving end of a spurious lawsuit because I said some mean things about somebody on YouTube, I'd love to know how that fucking goes. No, actually, I mean, I'm being facetious. Don't sue the guy. He didn't defame you. You're talking bollocks. Wargaming continues justifying its decision to have the video removed with the following. Our contributors are not working for us, and they're not being paid by us. However, they are representing us to a certain extent towards our players. To put it bluntly, we asked him to remove the video because he abused his status as a contributor and the content he received from us to create a video that defamed our company image with the tone and language he used. Right. Okay, but that doesn't actually answer the question. Nor is it technically defamation at all, but let's not split hairs. Let's just focus on how the company torpedoed its own argument by hinging its justification on SirFuck's status as a community contributor. See, the very moment Wargaming revoked his contributor status, they lost all rights to claim he represents them in any capacity. At that point, he becomes just another YouTuber, which makes the attack on his work an even bigger overreach and abuse of power. And as we can see in this chat log between the YouTuber and the company, Wargaming did little to hide the fact it issued an unambiguous threat to Sir Foxy Music's content and income, outright admitting it'll misuse YouTube's copyright strike system. If we do this, Mr. Fathreelan here says, you won't be able to monetize any Wargaming content in future. This is actually a blatant lie intended to scare SirFuck. When you're hit with a copyright strike, the video is removed, but the YouTuber can appeal, at which point the company issuing the strike has 14 business days to escalate its complaint by taking the YouTuber to court, which nobody's ever done and nobody wants to risk doing. So no, you're not stuck being unable to monetize things. Wargaming would need to just keep claiming copyright on all the videos he makes about their game, which would just be dickish and vindictive. And let's be clear about one thing right now, this video isn't about World of Tanks or its merits as a free-to-play game. Though thanks, World of Tanks fans who emailed me ahead of this episode in droves to defend the game rigorously from the attacks you thought were coming. In fact, special thanks to this one friendly warning I received from a loyal World of Tanks fan whose words are so dripping in elite gamer wisdom they can only be read to you via a 17th century aristocrat.
Don't do the video. You have no idea. You may think you're someone, but you're not. You know nothing. Jim Snow. Nothing. You're just gonna end up realizing... Oh, wait. It's not about the content at all, but about how rude Fosh was. And then you're gonna realize you can't make a vid, as WG would be 100% in the right. If you are a community contributor, you cannot cannot go around saying fuck wargaming! This is why the vid was taken down. So, mate, you're not gonna get your White Knight company silences criticism. You're just gonna get nothing. Yes, WG can be dodgy sometimes, but they have the largest, most diverse audience ever. They can't please everybody. Just to be clear, I am a top 0.1% player of the game. And I am an SEL player who spends 5 hours a day gaming. And I know this tank is not the most OP tank ever released. It is powerful, but nothing like what SirFuck says. If you want more info, feel free to message me or whatever. But I must beg you, please don't do the video. Or if you must, at least play the bloomin' game. Royston, come to the gazebo! I roasted the casual but good!
Oh, by the way, I know the reading's not 100% in line with the text, but you try reading an entire stupid email outside in the middle of Mississippi with grease paint on your face. He's from the 17th century, give him a break. I don't need comments pointing it out, is what I'm saying. My thoughts on the game are moot here. And as for your thoughts on the game, sorry Watt fans, but I don't care. No, this is predominantly about someone representing the World of Tanks brand, something Wargaming EU cares a lot about apparently, threatening and lying to advance the company's interests. Or if not lying, at least being incredibly ignorant with the threats being thrown around. They took umbrage with SirFuck's tone, which wasn't even out of line with his usual content, but even if it was, tone is not justification for abusing the system. Seriously though, premium ammo? Like literally buying bullets that get used up and then you buy more? That's an actual fucking thing. Oh my god. I had put out a call for people to mail me further examples of the company's fuckwittery because I figured we might as well go to town on it, and while I've received some interesting leads, I do have to say I regret putting the call out, mostly because I've now ended up in the middle of a propaganda war between a very splintered community that's split between thinking World of Tanks is slowly becoming a pay-to-win game and thinking that it's a perfectly fair system disliked only by crybabies. Despite neither side seeing the other, they both knew exactly what the other's arguments were and refuted them in my inbox in an attempt to stop me taking somebody else's side. And that's just fucking weird. Instead, I've decided to jettison that whole idea and talk about an important factor in this situation that nobody's brought up yet and dawned on me as I continued working through all this. Wargaming EU knew perfectly well who Sir Meet the Fuckers was before they signed him up for their community contributor program. By their own admission, they knew he was a sweary boy, and they knew he could be quote-unquote salty. The video they took umbrage with was par for the course for this guy. It's what he does, and Wargaming knew that. This has all gone down while another contributor, Sir Circumcision, was facing his own content issues with Wargaming EU, who revoked his status after he produced an allegedly insulting video of his own. Now this was eventually cleared up with Sir admitting he crossed a line and having his status reinstated, but this event, coupled with V5 indicates that perhaps it's the community contributor program itself that's a problem. What Wargaming EU and many other companies need to realise is that the vast majority of YouTubers are not professionals in any way, shape or form. Many of them just start producing videos of things they love and hey, One day they're massively popular and are woefully unprepared for what that level of fame, fortune and scrutiny means. These are hobbyists, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you're having them represent your brand and you need some oversight there. Wargaming EU, like the multi-channel networks that scooped up thousands of YouTubers sight unseen a few years back and then came to regret it, seems to promote people without much in the way of vetting or guidance, and that is a real issue. As Wargaming's own rep states, contributors represent the World of Tanks brand on some level, except unlike trained professional PR, these contributors are just people, and they clearly don't know what the rules are, and it might be a good idea to keep those rules relevant in your contributors' minds when they're doing work representative of you. I mean, I get the temptation of the whole community contributor thing. It's good free marketing for you, you get representation, you just get to set it and forget it, except you really can't just set it and forget it, because if you set it, you've put wheels in motion that could go crashing into a school and burn it down if you're not there with your own set of brake pedals. I think it's become clear by now that YouTube can be a minefield, and if you're getting into bed with various channels, you need to either give them guidance, advice, even perhaps training, or otherwise you must be prepared to face the consequences of your inaction. In this case, Wargaming took neither option. They let themselves be freely represented by non-professionals and seemed surprised when that bit them in the ass. Then again, seeing as how more official representatives can talk complete bollocks and intimidate these contributors, not to mention the company's fractured structure leading to things like this, maybe Wargaming as a whole needs to seriously overhaul how it handles the public-facing side of its business. But hey, I'm not a 0.1% player of World of Tanks, so what do I know?
Here's a TV that looks like an apple.
So the video was all done, and then I got an email from Wargaming itself. One of their representatives, in fact their senior PR manager for North America, emailed me with an official statement from the company as a whole. No Wargaming EU, no community management, just the actual "this is our line." They don't deny the chat, they don't deny the situation, in fact they double down. Most of it is them just saying we're in the right, and you're not. You see, this is one thing that people failed to realise when they kept sending me emails telling me I was out of my depth because I don't know anything about World of Tanks. I don't have to. I don't have to know a damn thing, okay, about World of Tanks, because this is about accusations of defamation, and this is about threats of copyright takedown strikes. And I'm sorry, I don't care who you are when it comes to those subjects, no video game critic has the experience and the pedigree that I do. So I'm not really stepping into Wargaming's wheelhouse to talk about this. Wargaming is stepping into my wheelhouse to talk about this. This is my yard, okay? And they are woefully out of their element. Wargaming is just flat out wrong. And I don't mean morally, I mean factually wrong. It's completely incorrect, is what I'm trying to say. And that's what this is about. It's incorrect, and as SirFuck himself said in some other comment, he didn't sign anything to become a contributor. He was given no real prep. They literally just said, "You're popular, come be a contributor," and he was like, "Okay," and that was about it.
Okay, they didn't literally do that. I used the word literally wrong.
Nothing in this statement fixes my complaints. They're just doubling down on it and saying that they're in the right, when they are, quite factually, not. Now, the interesting thing is the last line. If those videos continue to include hate speech and homophobic slurs, we'll take the necessary and appropriate action. Now, I found a mirror of SirFuck's original video, and there's no homophobic stuff in there. There isn't. It's not. He just says fuck Wargaming a lot, which I could do that. Fuck Wargaming! See, I just did it. That's not hate speech. Now, there are two things I can think about with this situation. One, they have no examples of hate speech or homophobic slurs, and they're just bringing that up in a deniable way so they can say, well, we're just using those as examples, but they act as a very nice alternate attack on the people they're talking about. The other option is that not this video that they threatened, but other videos in the past have included hate speech and homophobic slurs. Now, I'd never defend those, of course. I think anybody with my background, I think it's quite obvious I wouldn't, but it does lead me to the question, if there are videos with hate speech and homophobic slurs, and I've not gone through the entire libraries of these community contributors, the question is, Why were you okay with that before now? Why are you just bringing it up now when it's politically beneficial to you to bring it up? You've been standing by these community contributors for a long time, and if they've been dropping stuff like that in the past, which again, right now, allegedly, that looks just as bad on you as on anyone else because you were fine with it before now. So I'd be very careful about that last bit of the statement. Now, before this video went up, I emailed them almost immediately after they emailed me and asked if they could provide actual quotes and legitimate, if they could just show me what they're talking about. They got back to me 14 hours ago at the time of talking to say that they're working to get me something specific, and as of now they haven't, and it's publishing time, and there we go. I'll provide an update in the future when they find something, but there's nothing in that video they took down. It was just fuck Wargaming a lot, and at one point he described the tank as AIDS, which is trite at the very best, describing things as AIDS and cancer, and that's overdone, and I don't find it particularly funny. I wouldn't consider that a homophobic slur, and I wouldn't consider it defamation or certainly not copyright infringement, which is what the takedown would be for. And that's the last minute update. They've got an official statement, and as far as I'm concerned, it's definitely leaving a lot to be desired. That's about it.
Today's episode of the Jimquisition is something of a significant one for the series itself. Not because of the subject matter, which is, well, we're just talking about people acting like dickheads again, nothing new there. But this is the last episode of the Jimquisition quite as you know it. Most of the things are staying here. This was expensive enough that it's staying right here, but we're making a couple of aesthetic changes. I've been talking about it on Twitter, and I'm going to be talking about it on the Jimquisition.com very, very soon, so stay tuned for more on that after we've unveiled things. Don't expect massively dramatic changes, but just some aesthetic tweaks to bring things in line with what I feel the style of the show is now, and something more representative of moi, which of course is the reason you're all here. One thing that is changing is that, and this is the bit that, let's just say it, Drill Queen, I am taking a little bit of a break from. We are saying farewell to the Jimquisition theme tune that has been with us since inception, or at least a ta-ra for now, as we try some new things. I am very excited about what's coming. I'm really pleased with some of the stuff we've got planned for the future of the show, and the future of the Jim Sterling channel. There's a lot of new shows and stuff coming, but it would be remiss of me not to salute Drill Queen, the talented band that did 3 songs and then nothing else. But I must thank them for fantastic fucking music. Brilliant music. Born Depressed is a wonderful, wonderful tune, as evidenced by the amount of covers that it's inspired from viewers of this show. And we're going to send it off in the only way we know how, with another saxophone-flavoured cover from Carl Sax Dragon Catron, and just say goodbye to it for now. Thank you, and of course, thank God for me. See you next Monday.
life's good.
So thank him for... That's how you do it. What? Thank him.
Thank you. What for?